work to do this evening.
We do.
We have lots of wonderful beginnings that we're going to learn about. And we have some reminiscing to do. So with that, I'd like to call our April 29th Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mr. Chamberlain.
Here.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik.
Here.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack.
Here.
Mr. Nergy.
Here.
Mr. Reynoso.
Here.
Mr. Sloan.
Here.
Ms. Westfall.
Here.
Motion carries. Russell, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
I'm going to stand up.
I'm going to stand too.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Russell. Okay, item 4, approval of the agenda. Board action is requested. I move the Board of Education approve the April 29th board meeting agenda as presented. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Ms. Westfall.
Yes.
Mr. Sloan.
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso.
Yes.
Mr. Nergy.
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack.
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik.
Yes.
Mr. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5, the consent agenda. Board action is requested. I move the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as follows. Board of Education meeting minutes, payment of bills, personnel, treasurer's report, and policy adoption as presented. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Douglas. Is there any discussion from the board members? Hearing none, we do have some wonderful news this evening. Principal Jim Roscoe has an announcement, as does our finance director, Abe Singh. Abe, you've got the A, so you're going to go first. Abe?
Thank you very much, Kathleen. It is my pleasure to introduce Miss Melissa Mickey. Hi, Melissa. Good evening. As our new assistant business manager, she comes with extensive business office experience at the Lincoln Way Community High School District, most recently from Stevenson and the Exceptional Learners Collaborative. Miss Mickey will take over for Mr. John Schwartz, whom we thank for his service and wish him all the best in his retirement. Miss Mickey's experience in federal and state reporting, treasury reports, audit coordination, food services, accounts payable and receivable will serve this district well. Please join me in welcoming Melissa to the district. And can we embarrass you, Melissa, if you could say a few words?
I guess so. Thank you all so much for having me. Sorry, I just ran from a thunderstorm at our baseball field. Kind of a bit of a crazy night. But thank you so much. I really look forward to meeting all of you, and I'm really, really excited to come work at Grays Lake.
Board members, do we like to jump in?
Melissa, you're joining a great team. Sorry, I won't be around to meet you. I'm meeting you now, but you're joining a very good administration staff, so welcome.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Melissa, we're so glad to have you. We look forward to you joining our family, and I know that you'll bring bring your gifts to our school, and we will use them. We're known for that. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All righty. And now we have Jim, our principal. Jim?
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yes.
This is a great moment for me. I'm ecstatic to welcome Rob Nicoletti to the leadership team at North. He will be serving as the new Special Education Department Chair. A little bit about Rob. It's hard to believe I can call Rob a 10-year veteran at Grays Lake North. And for those of you that don't know Rob, he served North in several capacities in his short 10 years. He started in our social studies department, moved on to our special education department. Rob's been a varsity basketball coach, soccer coach, student council advisor. Rob currently serves in our extremely impactful AIM intervention program as an interventionist, as well as part coordinator. In addition, in his spare time, Rob serves as a summer school principal as well. And, Rob exemplifies everything you want in a leader. First and foremost, his passion is kids. And I know it sounds like I'm supposed to say that, but Rob truly, truly has our students as the foundation of what he does. Rob is relentless in his work ethic. And I think what impresses me most about Rob is he truly has a solution-oriented mind. He has a growth mindset. He reflects on everything he does. And in the true spirit of North, as we like to say over here, he does whatever it takes for the success of our students. So help me welcome Rob to the leadership team. I know here at North, we could not be happier.
Board members, any comments?
I remember hearing all the great things that Rob did during the summer school, so I am ecstatic for you, Rob, for you, Dr. Roscoe, and everyone at North. I know you're going to serve our students exceptionally well, so thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I want to echo that. The presentations we heard from summer school were really invigorating and extraordinarily helpfor for what we were going to be seeing forward going. So I'm really excited to hear about this for North and for this, not just North, but for everything. So thank you so much.
Rob, what can I say? You're wonderful. You inspire us every time you speak. So I can't imagine, you're inspiring us, so I can't imagine what you do to kids. So we're so glad to have you in this new role, and thank you for stepping up. And I think you have a few words you'd like to say, and if not, we'll embarrass you and make you say words anyway.
I just want to say thank you. I was not expecting all of that. I just thought it was going to be an approval, and that was it. So thank you very much for all the kind words. Everyone, Grays Lake has been my second home. I'm very, very grateful to be here, and just excited to continue to grow in District 127. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much.
And Kathleen, if I may.
Yes, oh please, yes.
I have actually another little surprise announcement for our student rep, Charlie Lay.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, Charlie was recently named as Illinois Principal Association Lake County Outstanding Student and School Citizen, and I presented that to him yesterday. I just wanted you all to know that Charlie has earned that recognition and was presented with that yesterday. So sorry for the impromptu, but while Charlie's on the screen, he deserves recognition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's Grays Lake District 127. We will stop to celebrate at, yes, not a problem.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. All righty, well, we'll talk to Charlie a little bit more in a little bit. And any other announcements before I dare move on with this board meeting?
Kathleen, we have to do the roll call.
I know, I just
Okay.
want to make sure that there's anything else they want to say. Okay, all righty, we will, thank you so much, Jenny. Yeah, we're going to have our roll call now. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sloan. Uh-oh. Did we lose Hal? Mr. Sloan?
He's on mute.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Reynoso?
Yep.
Mr. Nergy?
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik?
Yes,
Mr. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Westfall?
Yes.
thank you. Motion carries. Moving along. Item 6, board reports. Board members, are there any comments that you'd like to make this evening?
I do. I would like to take this moment to have a moment of silence for our D127 student, community member, and neighbor, Dustin Keefe, who passed away in April.
Okay, thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else? Whoever has someone needs to mute. We're getting background coming into our board meeting. Thank you. Okay, we will move on from our board reports to our election results. And board action is requested. I move the Board of Education of District 127, Lake County, accept the Lake County Clerk canvass of votes for April 6, 2021, nonpartisan election results for the Grays Lake Community High School Board of Education District 127 as presented, and proclaim Amy Knudsen-Strack, Douglas Nergy, Dean Thornson as the duly elected school board members for a 4-year full term. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knudsen-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 8, oath of office. It is my honor to administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members, Amy, Douglas, and Dean. This is an unusual, yes, this is a very unusual administering of the oath. What we're going to do this evening is have each board member recite the oath of office individually. We will move in alphabetical order, starting with Amy, and we will hold our congratulations until all board members have finished reciting their oath. Amy, will you raise your right hand, and recite the oath of office, please?
I, Amy Knudsen-Strack, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Grays Lake Community High School District 127 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions may be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with this board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course of the Grays Lake Community High School District 127. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure the continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community's schools to advance the vision of Grays Lake Community High School District 127. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision of the board has created, fostering citizenship and personal development.
Kathleen, you're on mute.
Yes,
I can
Douglas.
read your lips.
Yes, I am so sorry. Douglas, would you please raise your right hand and recite the oath?
I, Douglas Nerd, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the member of the Board of Education of Grays Lake Community High School District 127 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion of my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by the majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Grays Lake Community High School District 127. I shall assist in establishing a structure and environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as the education's key advocate on behalf of students and of our community's schools to advance the vision for Grays Lake Community High School District 127. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision of the board has created, fostering citizenship and personal development.
Thank you so much, Douglas. Dean, would you raise your right hand, please, and recite the oath?
I, Dean Thorson, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Grays Lake Community High School District 127 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Grays Lake Community High School District 127. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community's schools to advance the vision for Grays Lake Community High School District 127. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering citizenship and personal development.
Thank you. At this time, we can welcome our new board members. Thank you so much, all of you. Does anyone have any comments?
Hey, Dean, welcome to the board. I'm glad you're on, taking my spot. I just want to real quickly tell you that this board has so much knowledge and experience It's unbelievable. Every one of the board members here, what they bring to the table is something that you can learn from. I did quite a bit and very knowledgeable. So please use that and welcome to the board.
I appreciate that, Russ. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I do have something that I would like to say to all of the new board members. And I think it was outstanding of you to decide to run for the public school board during a pandemic. Having to go door to door in November, when we were at the height of the coronavirus in our country. And I know many of you had worries and concerns for family members, and yet you did this. And you did this because you believe in something. You believe in our public schools. And I am so appreciative of you, because I went and knocked on a few doors for someone, and it was terrifying. So I hold you all in my highest esteem, and thank you.
I'd like to make a quick comment just for the sake of levity. I swear that oath was a lot shorter than what y'all read. Dean, welcome to the board. You're going to have a ton of fun. I'm glad to have you on. Amy, Douglas, of course, love to have you all back. So thank you so much. And again, I promise someone's making it longer. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's Jenny. Who knows?
As a policy person, I will tell you that in 2019, they made it longer.
Perfect timing. Huh?
I think it's longer than the oath for president of the United States.
Right. It was in the fall of, it was late after, yeah. And our legislators don't have to say as much. So what does that say? So yeah, I know. So I'm welcome, Dean, to the board. It'll be great working with you, I'm sure. And you'll get to know my wacky sense of humor sometimes. Sometimes people don't get it at all, but I throw in these one-liners and there it is. So anyway, welcome everyone.
Amy, somebody's got to take my place.
I know, right?
No one can take your place.
I love sports. I love music, and I can't tell a joke worth anything, but I have some weird one-liners. So it's taken that. There it is. So.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well,
welcome, Dean. Congratulations, Amy. Look forward to working next 4 years with all the new board and the administration. It's been a great team through the pandemic, and I expect it to not miss a beat. So.
And I want to say thank you to the board for just welcoming me here. It's I've known Douglas a long time. Kathleen's a neighbor. I'm looking forward to a good 4 years. And I do have to, Mr. Hertigan's on. I must say he was very gracious at the end of the election, and I have to give him a shout out as well.
yes, thank you so much. It was well done. The community stepped up for us, and it was wonderful. So I want to thank you all. I cannot thank you all enough. But even though Jay says, I do cry a lot on the board, but we are going to have some fun now. But not fun. We're serious. But we're going to have recognition of an outgoing board member, and we would like to begin by sharing some screenshots with you of today. And Jenny, you don't get to speak very much, but would you like to tell us all the fun that you organized? I'd like to honor you because you've been so busy.
Sure. It was actually fun to be able to recognize Russ. Russ and I go way back, probably all of his 12 years. I met Russ as a coach and then as a parent of his girls from Grayslake North. So Russ and I go way back. So it was fun today. We dropped off some balloons, and Grayslake Central and Grayslake North were gracious enough to outfit him with some new golf shirts to wear on the courses to represent both schools. And then we got him a little award with just sincere appreciation of all his work and dedication over the last 12 years. Russ started in 2009. He took over, he told me, for Glenn Erickson. So the bottom picture is an oldie but a goodie. I had someone text me saying Zellick actually had hair in that picture, so I was kind of laughing. And, we just took a few fun pictures, and I think Angela got us that really sweet looking picture of Russ there. So congratulations, Russ. You will be missed for sure.
Yes, and the sweet looking picture is what Russ looked like when he joined the board 12 years ago. And, it takes its toll is all I want to say. Just kidding. See, I can be funny too, Jay. Don't get me started. Okay, does any board members or not just board members, I know there are lots of people that would like to give a tribute or a roasting to Mr. Chamberlain this evening.
Not you, Douglas.
Well, Russ, I guess I'll start because I think I've known you the longest, at least on the board. I was reluctant when you first came on the board. And I think you showed your true colors in these past 12 years of being a leader for the community, an advocate of our taxpayers, our students, respectful in conversations, and just a nice person. So I'm going to miss you. Again, we'll go out and have a beer and talk about the old times, but I'll see you around.
Thank you, Douglas.
I'll jump in quick. Seeing as I've known you probably the least, I appreciate your sense of humor on the board, the fact that, whatever we can talk about, there's always a sense of levity when it came to our discussions. I appreciate that in every discussion and conversation we've had on the board together, I feel your passion not only for the board, but for our district, but more importantly for our community here. As a young person, as someone new to the board, it's always good to find people that care about the community in so many different ways. And that's something that I will definitely hold near and dear to me, and you will be missed, but hopefully this will not be a goodbye forever.
Thank you, Jonathan. I really respect you being on the board as a teacher. I took a lot from you and I appreciate it.
I'll jump in. Russell really helped pull me into the board and really, to me, was always willing to create a bridge and always listening, always learning, but always willing to listen to others' opinions, bring the opinion forward, help me understand someone else's point of view. I just learned so much from your leadership, but also helping me. You just helped me a lot on the board, and I'll just never forget it. And that bridge just really helped a lot. And I always felt like you were always learning. Like even these last 4 years, you would go to Tri-Conference and come back here with a stack of stuff. And you just never cynical, just always bringing stuff forward. And I just think that is just the greatest thing. So anyway.
Thank you, Amy.
You bet.
Yeah, you never have enough knowledge. You never learn enough. So when I go to those conferences, I'm running around. You always see me running around. So
yeah.
Thank you.
I will be very brief. Russ, I thank you very much for 12 years of fabulous service and wish you more than 12 years of the next 12 years and the rest of your life of happiness and enjoying whatever your free time will bring you to. So good luck and thank you.
Thanks, Al.
All right, my turn, and I really apologize. My internet is really wonky tonight, so hopefully this goes. But Russ was so excited when I was first elected because he finally had another North night. And now he's leaving and Dean's from Central, so I will be the only North night. So you will be missed. But I'm lucky. I actually run past his house like 4 times a week, literally. So I will always wave. And if you just clap and say, go runner or something, I'll know it's you.
You're hearing my dogs. They're barking in the backyard.
Oh, I always say hi to them.
They're friendly, but they got a big bark.
They all do. But yes, so thank you very much for your service. 12 years on a school board. A lot of people really don't understand the work that you put in, even in 1 year. So thank you so much for being such a good steward.
Thank you, Erin. Hang on, you hold up north for me.
You betcha.
Do any of our administrators have some things that they'd like to say?
I'll just jump in and I'll be brief. Also, I'll just echo what everybody has said and just appreciating Russ's knowledge and his passion, just care for kids. And as you say, Erin, the fierce advocate for Grayslake North and the whole district, of course, but, just always wanting to make sure that, North being the new kid on the block doesn't get kind of forgotten about or left behind. So we really do appreciate that. We will keep that in mind. But on a personal note, I'll say I will definitely miss you, Russ. You've just made it a lot of fun to be on the board, but I also appreciate your perspective. And you at certain points, you supported me during some tough times. So I really do appreciate that. I'll never forget it. So thank you. And again, enjoy your all your free time now. So you and Angela can have some fun and hopefully get some rest. Get your Thursdays back.
I'll keep in touch with you. You got my name and number, and I'll send you guys my personal email.
I'll jump in. Russ, thank you so much. I've known you for years. I've known you as when you were, a parent before you were a board member, and then all these years on the board, and it's been so nice getting to know you and working with you. You've been a fierce advocate for whatever you think is right for various stakeholders. You've been a voice for that as a parent and as a board member. And I'm really going to miss you. And we'll be sure to order some cheesecakes for future celebrations in your honor. So thanks for everything, Russ. We're going to miss you.
Tracy, appreciate it.
And Russ, as the other North representative here, I could always count on whenever I got a phone call from you, I knew there either something really, really good was happening or you had an opinion that you needed to share immediately. I will say it's going to be boring without you. But, in all seriousness, nobody could ever argue your passion for the success of this district, for the success of Grayslake North. You are one of its biggest fans, and that nobody can argue. And that's what we want, right, from everybody in the community. We want support, but we want people that are going to work towards success of this district. I truly appreciate it. It goes without saying, the work that you guys do is sometimes underappreciated. So from the North side, I truly appreciate all of your work. And hopefully I'll see you on the golf course in a month.
I'm going to miss you at the football games and basketball games, seeing you and your family and everybody out there. I know we haven't done that the last couple of years, but I'm going to miss being there and watching it. It was definitely fun. So, I'm going to miss North. I'll be around, and I'll see you on the golf course. You give me a call. I'll take care of you.
Done.
And Russ, as the principal of Grayslake Central, I really appreciate your full view of the district. When we'd have, I remember one time we were walking down the streets of Chicago at a conference, and the rationale that you provided me for why it was important that we were all taking part in these conferences just really showed the depth of your passion for the school district and for the community. And for that, I will always be grateful.
Yeah, that was a big part in the beginning. Having the principals down there at the conference got me closer to them in the beginning. And then we went away from it. And hopefully we can keep that up and keep everybody together. It gets everybody closer. And we learn a lot. Thanks, Dan. I'll miss you.
Douglas, Russ, if I may, having started just this past July, we've worked with one another almost 10 months only, but very quickly, you know, I felt I was able to speak to you easily, very plainly. There were no formalities in our conversation. Your subject matter expertise in facilities and operations are going to be missed, and just want to thank you for the trust and confidence you've put in me coming on brand new during a pandemic. I'll miss you.
Thanks, Abe. Yeah, I was part of that hiring interview process. Danielle and Mikkel and the board selected me to be on that, and it was quite the privilege. And I thought you're going to be a great fit, and you have been. And you're going to be a great access to the administration. And I appreciate everything you're doing, and I'm looking forward to you doing greater things. Thanks, Abe.
Thank you.
Russ, I have absolutely enjoyed the last almost 2 years with you. Since the moment I met you, I could feel your support and passion and commitment to this district, to every student, to every staff member, and to every administrator. From the get-go, you have supported us. You've been bold enough to ask questions, to clarify, and then you are the biggest champion of our message. And I thank you, and I will miss you. I'll miss your smiles. I'll miss your laughter. So I wish you well, my friend.
Well, that started kind of weird because we're at the conference and we're to that frog, and I'm sitting
Yes,
there.
I knew you'd bring this up. Yes, indeed. Yes.
I'm like, oh my God. We had to sit there and hold hands while we're talking. I'm like, I'm embarrassed. My face is turning red. I'm going, really? I don't even know this person. I got to do this. So that was an icebreaker, and then it was great. I really appreciate everything you've done. You've been great in the hiring process and building our team here. And Danielle, you're an excellent addition to our administration staff, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Russ.
Keep in touch.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And Russ, just from the special ed world, I think you were on right as I was coming on, or you were even there a year ahead of me. I might be the only one that I have your autograph from the tri-conference. I don't know if you remember giving that to me and signing the book, so I will forever hang on to that. But I can't thank you enough for the support that you've given our departments and our kids over the course of several years. Just could always, you asked a lot of great questions, a lot of making sure that everybody was getting what they needed, and I can't thank you enough for that support.
Thanks, Mark. That autograph's probably worth about a nickel, but
on up a cent.
Yeah, I was on CEDAW for a couple of years. I recommend everybody be part of CEDAW. It was a great experience. Ann Dingman, past president, had me fill in and then made me a permanent role. And it was a great experience being on CEDAW. And Mark, I appreciate your support there too. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump in for a minute. Like Douglas, Russell and I didn't get along very well when we first met. We were kind of, yeah, you know, and but we bonded over something. The Illinois Association of School Boards says that the worst kind of board member is the one that runs on a single issue. They say that nobody wants that kind of board member on their board. No superintendent wants that kind of board member on their board. But that was you and me, Russell. We were that board member, right? The one that makes superintendents want to rethink their career options, right? But we bonded over that. We got to chat about it. We realized we were both very passionate about kids and school and education and the public schools and the importance of the public schools for our democracy, for treating people fairly, which is a core value of yours, for standing up for the little guy, which is a core value of yours. And they're core values of mine too. And attending to things. You attend to things. And that's an important part of who you are. You don't brush past things. I've been in meetings, and I won't go into the details, but you stood up for people, and people that most people didn't notice and or think about, but you were there. And I do want to point out one thing that I think is going to be part of your legacy. And it's not that people weren't thinking about it, it just needed a lot of attending to and a lot of Russell complaining over the years. But it's our AIM program. I think that's going to be an important part of your legacy, Russell, because you supported it. And you didn't just support it when it came up for a vote. You advocated for it for years. You knew that there were kids in our school that were not making the U.S. News and World Reports. And you always wondered, where are they? What are they doing? How can we reach them? There's got to be kids coming in that need our support. And you knew that, and you advocated, and you recreated a world where these kids have a chance. And you've given these kids access to what's available in this school district that this community pays for and values and honors opportunity for all kids. And you did that. And you never stopped fighting for it. And I'll never forget that fight and that fire that you have in your heart. And so, kids that come into our school district now receive support in their freshman year, enabling them to enjoy all that we have to offer here. And you made all the difference. Kids may never know your name, Russell, but the world will be a better place because you stopped by here. You came here and you served, and you made a difference. So I want to thank you for your service to the Grays Lake community and to America's greatest asset, I think, which is her public schools, where democracy is nurtured and the dignity of every single human being is acknowledged and cherished. And those values are your core values, and you fight for them every day that you were in this board. I want to thank you for that. And I'd also like to acknowledge your wife, Angela. It's an absolute treasure, who came on this journey with you, and your daughters, Courtney and Kelsey, for their supporting you over the years. You couldn't have done this without their support. So your great work is also their work. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank your family. We all do, for what you've accomplished. And we won't forget. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, they got caught in the middle of some things that I was on the board. I'm not going to go through every little thing, but yeah, I kind of got them in some sticky situations, but they fought through it. Made them stronger, I think, when they got older. And, you know, I think they learned from it. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Kathleen, Mikkel, Jenny, Abe, Douglas, Danielle, Tracy, Dan, Jim, Megan Light, Dan Gonzalez. I haven't mentioned Dan here. Dan, you're doing a great job. Mark Kettering, Jeff Schragen, Hal, Amy, Jonathan Aaron, Janice, who retired. She's been texting me through this whole thing. And Ann Dingman, who reached out and mentioned some words about me being on the board. So I appreciate everything. Hopefully, if you guys need anything, you know that I'll help you out and do anything you need. So I appreciate it, and good luck. And Dean, go. Give it your all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All righty. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to adjourn for a moment. We're going to adjourn this board. And I was hoping that we could have a Zoom room picture, a remembrance. I hope, yeah, Russell's still here eating his cheesecake, so hang around. And then we're going to bring in our new board. And so with that, I move the Board of Education take a brief adjournment, and a roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Okay, for the last time, Mr. Chamberlain. Mrs. Conlon-Wasik.
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack.
Yes.
Mr. Nergy.
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso.
Yes.
Mr. Sloan.
Yes.
Ms. Westfall.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we are adjourned. Oh, that was a lot. Everyone can take a break for a few minutes. And maybe before we run off and take a break, Angela, come on. We need to get your picture in here. Okay, she may not want to do that, but anyone that wants to have their picture taken, we can take a Zoom room picture and as a remembrance of our year of Zooming, which I'm hoping is going to come to an end soon.
I think Angela's crying.
And I'm going to turn it over to Jess. She's the Director of Technology. She's going to take our Zoom room picture. So Jess, take it away.
All right, I can't rearrange who's on the screen, so it's going to kind of be a combination of who's on this first window, but I will also take the second window just in case and try to cut and paste for you guys later. All right, hang tight. I'll tell you when. You're going to have to smile on 3.
Angela, get in the picture.
Hold on, Erin's not on yet.
Okay, come on.
There she is.
Oh,
there
Erin.
she is. There's Erin.
Erin.
Okay.
Good sport, Erin.
Is Angela going to turn on your camera?
She's crying.
Oh, we won't see it.
It's okay. It's okay.
You won't be able, it's not that good of resolution. It'll be all right.
Sorry, I'm not crying.
She's made her decision. Okay.
I am.
There
Oh,
she
there
is.
she is.
Okay.
Hey, Angela.
Okay. Sorry, it's still showing up as a name. I'm giving it a second. Okay. If everyone just can continue to smile, I will try to count it off. Okay, smile now. 1. Hold on. 1, 2. Got it.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Enjoy your cheesecake.
All righty. Would everyone like to take 5 minutes and then we'll come back and or we could get going. What's the consensus? Amy's gone, so we'll be back in 5 minutes. A 5-minute break. Okay, 5-minute break. We'll be back in 5. All righty. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Okay. For the first time, Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy. Douglas not back.
We'll loop around.
Okay. Mr. Reynoso,
Here.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Miss Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy. I can see his picture on the screen. Okay, we can go ahead.
All righty. The motion carries. Appointment of President and Secretary Pro-Tem. I move the Board of Education appoint a President Pro-Tem and Secretary Pro-Tem until after the Board elects a Board President. The Governing Board recommends that Mr. Reynoso be appointed President Pro-Tem and Mr. Sloan be appointed the Secretary Pro-Tem. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Sure. Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Jonathan, off you go.
All righty. Item 14, reorganization of the Board of Education. Under A, I will now request nominations for the office of Board President.
I, Douglas Nergy, nominate Kathleen Conlon-Wasik for Board President.
Thank you for the nomination. Are there any other nominations for the office of Board President? Okay, seeing and hearing none, with no other nominations for the office of Board President of District 127, I will close nominations. And then I will make a motion to nominate Kathleen Conlon-Wasik for the office of Board President. And board action is requested. I move that the Board of Education of District 127, Lake County, elect Kathleen Conlon-Wasik for the office of Board President of District 127. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall, Ms. Westfall. Maybe her internet's going out. Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
and we'll go back to Ms. Westfall.
Yes.
Okay, there you are.
All righty. Kathleen Conlon-Wasik is declared President of District 127, Lake County Board of Education.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your faith. And thank you, Jonathan. You're incredible. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to move along for our Board Vice President's position. Are there any nominations for the office of Board Vice President?
I nominate Amy Knutson-Strack to the office of Board Vice President.
Thank you, Jonathan. Are there any other nominations? With no other nominations, I will close the nomination process. I move the Board of Education of District 127, Lake County, elect Amy Knutson-Strack for the office of Board Vice President of District 127. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall, Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack.
Yes.
Okay, can we dovetail back to Ms. Westfall?
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Board member Amy Knutson-Strack is declared Vice President of District 127, Lake County Board of Education. Congratulations, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for your faith.
Of course. Of course. All righty, moving right along. Board Secretary. Are there any nominations for the office of Board Secretary?
I, Amy Knutson-Strack, nominate Hal Sloan for the office of Board Secretary.
Thank you, Amy. Are there any other nominations for the office of Board Secretary? Hearing none, I move the Board of Education of District 127, Lake County, elect Hal Sloan for the office of Board Secretary of District 127. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mr. Reynoso?
Yes.
Mr. Sloan?
Yes.
Ms. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik?
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack?
Yes.
Mr. Nergy?
Yes.
Motion carries. Board member Hal Sloan is declared Secretary of District 127, Lake County Board of Education. Congratulations, Hal, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay, moving right along. Appointment of treasurer. The board needs to take action on the school treasurer appointment. Board action is requested. I move the Board of Education of District 127, Lake County, extend the appointment of Mr. Abe Singh as the school treasurer effective through June 30th, 2021. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mr. Sloan?
Yes.
Ms. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik?
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack?
Yes.
Mr. Nergy?
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. All right, we'll move right along to committee assignments. Facilities and Finance. Mr. Nergy, Mr. Sloan, Mr. Thornton will be on the Facilities and Finance Committee. Mr. Nergy will be the chair. Programming, Ms. Knutson-Strack, Ms. Westphal, and Mr. Reynoso will be on Programming, Policy, and Personnel, and Ms. Westphal will be the chair. The Illinois Association of School Board Representative for this two-year session will be Mr. Thornton. The CEDAW representative will be Mr. Reynoso. Professional Negotiations Committee, we will think about that a little bit later. We don't have to work on that tonight. So our committees are assigned. And thank you all for being so courteous and just so super easy to work with. And I appreciate all of you for stepping into this hard work and being so willing. Okay, moving on to item number 15, Superintendent's Report. Nicole, it's all yours.
Great. Well, congratulations, everyone. Very happy to work with all of you and on the new committee assignments. It'll be a lot of fun. So under recognition, I have three people I want to recognize. The first person, I'm not going to tell you who it is until the end because we received a letter from one of our staff members about this person who is in the Zoom room right now. And I am going to read the letter verbatim. And this is from Beth Rometti, who's one of our member of our special education staff. And she writes, "Today I want to honor a district administrator who during the tremendous challenges of the past year led his department by example, promoting honesty, working with integrity, and always doing what is in the best interest of our students. Not uncommon to hear someone say it's all about the kids, but this administrator's thought process begins and ends with what is in the best interest of the student. This man can be counted on to be willing to take a fresh look at services for students, provide a thorough explanation of the rationale behind decisions, share insight into his knowledge, support students, faculty, and staff, listen to concerns with his head and his heart, learn from every situation, believe in a growth mindset, show patience and perseverance in difficult situations, and has a clear vision of the future of special education at District 127. The person," she writes, "the person I'm talking about is Director of Special Education, Mark Kettering. Thank you for hiring a consistently supportive leader who is appreciated, valued, and admired. Sincerely yours, Beth Manetti. So we received that and we thought we would embarrass Mark with it here tonight. But you know, some very nice words, some words that are very much appreciated and echoed throughout. So thank you, Mark, for everything that you do.
Thank you very much.
The other two people I want to honor tonight, or at least acknowledge, two people who have had a really tough job during this pandemic, and those are two nurses, Julie Simchek and Annie Swiatek. They, you know, they are on the front lines of all of this in terms of COVID and quarantines and talking with family members and working with our health department, working with our HR department. All of that, and they do school nurse jobs too. So now that we have students in the buildings, students twist ankles and students get bloody noses, and all of that stuff doesn't go away. And so I just want to acknowledge their service. They've had a rough couple of weeks. I'm going to be honest. They have, you know, had some pretty tough conversations with some folks, and they're not all. I'm going to be honest. They're always treated respectfully. So we just want to make sure. I want to make sure that they know how much we support them and how much they have supported us and supported our kids. They have done a fabulous job. So with that, I'm going to move into the COVID-19 update. I don't have a whole lot right here because most of the COVID goodness, if you'd call it that, is in the district goals, which is at the end. But what I want to take a minute or two to talk about it. We've had some questions about quarantine and, you know, our policies toward quarantine. I just want to clear up a few things. So let me share my screen really quick. If I can find my, okay, I'm going to the website, the IDPH, Illinois Department of Public Health website. Now we do have a flow chart. It's the legendary, you know, IDPH exclusion flow chart that I would love to see the revision history on because it's probably changed at least 24 times, sometimes multiple times in a week. I find this particular page a little bit easier to follow. One of the things that the nurses have to do, and we have to do when we're looking at students, when we have positive cases, if that person is test positive, of course, I think it's pretty obvious that person is removed from the building and quarantines for 10 days. What gets a little trickier is when somebody's a close contact. You know, we don't actually have a positive test, but that person, in this case, we're talking about students, and that student has been identified as being within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more of somebody who has been confirmed positive. So this, this table says if you're identified as a close contact, we have 3 options. The first is somebody could be quarantined for 7 days. For our students, it's not applicable because if you notice, the 4th bullet point down does not apply to K-12 school-age persons or daycares. So 7 days is off the table. 10 days, is it a 10-day quarantine? Well, the local health department must authorize, okay. Must be asymptomatic, okay, can't have symptoms, makes sense. But here's the phrase that, you know, we pay attention to. That person must be able to social distance 6 feet, social distance, and mask for a full 14 days. So that's where it gets tricky. Athletes, for example, if they're on the field and obviously playing and much closer, they cannot social distance. We cannot guarantee that they could social distance 100% of the time for the full 14 days. Okay, so athletes, it's a 14-day quarantine. If somebody is not an athlete, but now is within our school, that person will also be asked to quarantine for 14 days. And here's why. And here's where some of our COVID rules kind of like, they don't quite match up. We are very happy that the IDPH allowed us within the classroom to move our desks 3 feet closer, or 3 feet. 3 feet apart. That allows us to get many more students in the class. That allows, obviously our 5-day model to run, walking up and down the hallways and hearing students and teachers talk, and it feels like school, and it's wonderful. However, the quarantine rules are still at 6 feet, which is a little bit contradictory. So if we do have somebody that tests positive, for example, and is in the middle of a class and has students 3 feet apart, which by the IDPH rules we are allowed to do, okay. However, everybody would have to quarantine because they're within 6 feet. So again, that final bullet point must be able to social distance and mask for a full 14 days. If somebody is in our classes in school, we can't, they would not be able to social distance and at 6 feet for a full 14 days. So the quarantine is the full 14 days. This is not easy stuff. You know, the rules have been changing constantly, sometimes daily, sometimes by the hour, and it's very difficult to kind of keep track of it all. But I just wanted to clarify for some folks that asked me to clarify some of these rules, and that's all I will do right now for the COVID-19 update. So I'll be brief there. I'll move on. Unless there are questions, let me stop.
I actually do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see
So
that.
based upon what you just said, my son is one of the quarantined. And I was
I'm
told
sorry, is this,
one.
Excuse me, this is a board meeting. This is a board meeting. This information is for the members of the board. Public participation, he asked the board. Public participation will be coming up soon.
Yeah, it'll be, yeah, it's coming up item 17. Board or administration, do you have any questions? Okay, FOIA requests. All the FOIA requests that you see in your board packet have been fulfilled. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stursley. Okay, we're going to move on to item 16, Student Board Representative Reports. And we do not have Keegan with us this evening, but we do have Charlie with us and Charlie Lay. So Charlie, would you like to give us your student report, and maybe if we can press you to give us some information on all these wonderful accolades you've been getting and awards, and yeah, we'd love to know. We live for this. We just do.
Okay. Well, first off, I'll start. Thank you for having me. And I'll start with what North's been doing. North's volleyball team went undefeated and got first in their competition this past weekend. Track had their first meet Monday night, which was big for them because their season has officially started now. NHS induction was last night, so there are new NHS members, which is very cool. Band has started playing outside again. They're finally playing their instruments, which is great for them. And then finally, student council is having one of our final events this Saturday, 11 to 3, which is a food truck festival.
All righty. I know you like those food truck festivals. I think, was that your idea? You brought that to the school, or was it a team that you were working with?
It was a team that I was working with. Yeah, I can't take all the credit now.
That's great. Do you have any really great trucks coming?
We've got a great Filipino food truck, some great dessert trucks, and there's a couple more. Should be good.
All right.
Yeah, the Filipino food is amazing.
Any other questions for Charlie? Okay, Charlie, you're getting off light this evening. Thank you so much for your board report. And if you would like, I think we can we excuse Charlie? Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, thank you so much for
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes. Are we going to see you next month? Will we see him? Will we see you in June? Okay, great. We'll catch up with you then. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, great. Item 17, public participation. Okay, the board will now open the meeting to public participation. Each participant has 3 minutes to speak per board policy. It's a policy. So please provide your name and your contact information, and we will get back to you. So Mikkel, if you could check to see if we have anyone that would like to speak to the board.
So yeah, it's just to manage this. If you want to speak to the board, if you can, if you see that option, if you could, raise your hand or something, just so I know, we will make sure we get everybody. But just to, so I can kind of keep track of who's out there. And anybody would like to? Okay, Mr. Herdigan, why don't you go ahead? I see your hand in the camera.
You did. Thank you. Good evening to everyone. I'd like to address the board tonight regarding the challenges that our students have been facing under corona mitigation. By my calendar, we're now in week 61 of 2 weeks to flatten the curve. My son's currently a junior and 3-sport athlete. He hasn't been able to enjoy a normal sports season since basketball in his sophomore year. If these COVID restrictions remain until August into his senior year, 75% of his high school life will have been affected. As I would hope you're aware, there are currently 2 varsity sports teams at Grayslake Central that have been quarantined due to alleged COVID exposure. Both lacrosse and football have been placed on 14-day quarantines because one member of the respective teams tested positive for COVID and was present at a practice 48 hours prior to being tested. These are outdoor practices at which the athletes are wearing masks. It begs the question that if masks work, why the need for a quarantine? If masks don't work, why do they need to wear them? Additionally, in the case of football and most likely lacrosse, there was no 15 minutes of continuous talking while in close proximity, which we are led to believe is the standard used in classrooms. This was a strict protocol followed by Coach Maloney. Masks were worn with or without helmets. And when players got ready before practice, they were 6 to 8 feet apart. He always had them spaced out. This wasn't taken into consideration, apparently, in the decision to quarantine the entire team. The quarantine of the football team resulted in what is arguably the biggest sporting event of the year, the North versus Central football game, being canceled with barely 24 hours notice. As a result, many Central seniors did not get the right to finish out their high school football career, and North was forced to play an opponent they had no business competing against and ended their season with a humiliating loss. The haste at which these decisions are being made with a lack of input from parents and their own healthcare providers is staggering. What happened to the days of a letter going home, warning of strep or whooping cough or whatever, and letting parents and their kids' doctors make a decision as to how their child should react? What's more, parents have been frustrated and angered by a lack of apparent responsibility for these decisions. School administrators have pointed the finger at the Lake County Health Department. Lake County Health Department points the finger at IHSA and IDPH. IDPH says it's up to the governor. The governor claims he's following IDPH guidelines. The governor continues to tell us we're almost at the end of this and that we can return to normal soon if we just be patient for a while longer. But every time we hit a benchmark, the goalpost seems to get moved farther away and we continue to be stuck in an endless cycle. For months, many people have questioned the efficacy of the restrictions we have been placed under. Many were being dismissed as science deniers or conspiracy theorists. But maybe they weren't so crazy after all. Stanford University has now released a study revealing face masks do not prevent the spread of COVID and are in fact damaging to the wearer's health. A just released MIT study demonstrates that indoor occupancy restrictions have been ineffective and unnecessary. Even Dr. Fauci has recently stated that the risk of outdoor COVID infection.
Mr. Herdigen, we were out of time. If you could submit your letter, we would appreciate it, and our superintendent will get back to you.
I've got about another 30 seconds. Is it going to delay the meeting that long?
It's by policy, and I would have to change the policy of the board at this time, which I cannot do. It is by policy. I want to thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Butvilas, you're up.
Can I give Mr. Herdigan my 3 minutes, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Let me find where I was in my remarks. It should not take much longer. As I said, Dr. Fauci has recently stated that outdoor COVID risk infections are minuscule. That's a quote. But we continue to punish large groups of athletes who are simply trying to play their sports and attend their schools. This is not just sporting events that are being canceled. We are damaging the prospects for students who are depending on scholarships to continue their education beyond high school. Every state surrounding Illinois has been playing their sports in season normally. There have been no apparent issues. But Illinois continues with draconian lockdown measures, which ultimately are damaging to our students. Statewide, for high school age individuals, the risk of suicide appears to far outweigh the risk of death from COVID which even according to the Lake County Health Department has a 98.3% recovery rate. If you take out those over age 65, the rate is nearly 100%. In 2015, 47,000 Illinois teens attempted suicide. Compare that to the COVID infection rate. According to the Illinois State Board of Education, suicide is the #2 cause of death for teenagers. Their study in 2017, prior to COVID, found over 17% of high school students seriously considered suicide. 10% actually attempted it. Students at risk of suicide are found to suffer from anxiety and depression. Teens with suicidal ideations are also found to be socially isolated. According to a UIC study, these at-risk teens felt they had no control over this social isolation. This could describe many students who are stuck in remote learning with no sports as an outlet. But what do we do when there's an alleged exposure? We tell them to go home and stay by themselves for 14 days. All that is missing is an admonition to sit in the corner and think about what you did. You are the school board, not the no school board. We need to stop letting these nonsensical decisions regarding our kids be made by people that don't exist in our community. The school board, school administration, and all parents need to start calling out and putting pressure on the governor and other state agencies to end this mass incarceration of our students. I appreciate your time and attention tonight.
Thank you very much. And could you please send your document to the superintendent so that we can look at it fully and respond fully? Thank you. Thank you so much. Mikkel, are there any other people that would like to speak?
I don't see anybody at the moment, but I want to give people a second. Is there anybody who would like to speak in public comment?
I think we'd have another person. Steinberg?
If somebody's ready to go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, yes. And I want to thank Ken for speaking up. My message tonight echoes what he has already communicated to the board. I'm a parent of two students at the Central High School. I'm asking today why masks are still required for outdoor sports and in the classrooms. I understand that you are following the guidelines of the CDC and that these are just guidelines. The WHO explicitly states that children and teenagers should not wear a mask while running, jumping, working out, or playing sports. My daughter plays softball. I see kids playing their sports outside. Excuse me. I see the track team often because I'm often outside myself. They're masked up. It's very upsetting to see these children who desperately need fitness for their mental health. Again, echoing what Ken has already stated, the statistics are overwhelming. And I'm asking you to please step up, drop the masks for our children. We can do better for our children. They don't need to be masked outside. And many states have already made these changes and adjustments. So I'm a little embarrassed. I'm very emotional about this subject, but I really want my voice to be out there. And I believe there are many other parents who also feel and share the same concerns as I'm sure many of you do on staff. I am so thankful our kids are back in school. I can't imagine the behind the scenes of how you've been able to make everything come together so our students can be in the classroom with their teachers. There's just a lot of struggles that you're probably seeing in and out of the classroom, and we need to make some changes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Did we capture your, did you give us your first name? I'm not quite sure.
I apologize. Yes, first name Debbie, last name Steinberg.
Thank you so much, Debbie. We so appreciate you coming to the board. I know it can be difficult sometimes, but thank you so much for courageously speaking for your children and for other children too. Thank you. Are there any other people that would like to speak to the board this evening?
If there are, please go ahead and speak up. Okay, I'm speaking slowly. I don't see anybody else, so
Okay.
I think we're safe to end public participation.
Okay, so then I will go ahead and end public participation at this time. And I would like to thank our participants for coming this evening. We really appreciate everything you have to say. We take it very, very seriously. Okay, moving along, we do have a need, board members, to go into closed session this evening. I need a motion to go into closed session on matters related to a review of closed session minutes, review of audio recordings of closed session minutes, pending, probable, or imminent litigation, and personnel. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik?
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack?
Yes.
Mr. Nergy?
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso?
Yes.
Mr. Sloan?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We will now go into another room. We will be coming out because there will be action coming out of this meeting. So, Vikal, if you could handle that.
Yeah, working on a breakout room, so give me 1 second. All right, as we're coming back in, notice a few folks out there, you might not recognize names. They're some of my students from my CLC class who I invited to join our board meeting. So, hi Sam, hi Sydney.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey Sydney.
Is it too late to ask for an update on your CLC class? How's it going?
It's almost May. We're getting to the end. Can't believe it. So next week, these folks are going to do a little presentation on this meeting. So I'll hear how it went. I'll let you know.
I had a question.
Sydney, I'll answer you later. Email me.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Is everybody back? I think so.
I think Kathleen hit the wrong button. She back?
Yeah, we're all back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting
Oh,
this
there you are.
closed session all by myself. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, there you are.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. I need a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm talking to myself in the other room. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Sure. Here we go. Mr. Sloan?
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso?
Yes.
Mr. Nergy?
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Ms. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion carries. We are now out of closed session. Thank you so much, everyone. We do not have a need to go for any continuing business. We are now going to move on to item 20 and 21, and Amy and Douglas are going to complete the work from the April 8th meetings. So facilities and finance, Douglas, could you give us a report?
Yes, of course. Every item that were discussed in our meeting is in our agenda tonight.
Okay.
Besides COVID, and we have a meeting on May 6th.
Thank you so much, Douglas. Programming, policy, and personnel, Ms. Knudsen-Strack.
Yes, we went over textbooks and novels that are going to be coming up for next year, which was pretty exciting. There are some nice new titles for the students to choose from. And then we also, coming up on the vote tonight is temporary technology summer help, which is a nice thing that we offer students. So that is something that we went over as well. And then we had some internal review for some policies, some just simple updates. And then we also went over our data policy again, just for some language updates. It was a pretty quick meeting actually from April 8th, and we're going to be meeting again with welcoming Erin's leadership next week on May 6th.
Yes. And Amy, thank you so much for your leadership these past 2 years on PCube. You really set a high bar. Thank you so much.
It's been my honor.
Yes, thank you, and ours. Thank you. The Illinois Association of School Boards, Mr. Reynosa.
No updates at this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Jay. Jay, you will be moving on. You did an amazing job as our Illinois Association of School Boards rep. I always remember that first year you went to the delegate assembly. That was quite fun with you and Amy, so it was great. So good times and good memories there, Jay, to move forward with.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, you did a great job. CEDAL, Mr. Sloan.
I was checking to see if I was muted. There is a new cybersecurity agreement in place that will be taking effect May 1st. It's an upgraded program, and the cost seems to be relatively reasonable. Also, the tentative budget for next year was moved forward to the next meeting of June 2nd of the board. So those are the things that are going on currently.
Thank you so much, Hal. And Hal, you will be moving on. And I want to thank you so much for your service and the work that you have done at CEDAL. You've been a wonderful representative for our community and at CEDAL. And so you're moving on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Ed Red, does anyone have an update for us with Ed Red?
I did attend the April 9th EdRed meeting. Of note, there was an update on TIFs. There has been a TIF district explosion as of late. There are now 1,400 TIF districts. 99 out of 102 Illinois counties have a TIF district. And just for reference, we went from $430 million of TIF tax extension in the year 2000. And as of 2019, we are up to $1.76 billion. And so there was great discussion on TIFs and potential legislation to minimize the duration and increase transparency and notification to districts as it relates to tax increments.
That the 1.7 billion, that's statewide?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I hope to have an update on our special education language, and but I will not have that until next month. So I'll give you an update then. And with that, no one else have anything to say about EdRed at the moment? I'm not seeing anyone. Okay, good enough. Abe, thank you so much. You always manage to shock us, or at least shock me, but thank you. It's the state of Illinois. I should be used to it. Okay, we're going to move right along. This is the home stretch, guys. And so let's get going. New business, review of closed session minutes. Board action is requested. I move the Board of Education accept and retain as classified all of the closed session minutes from June 20th, 2019 through December 31st, 2020, as presented and discussed in closed session. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik?
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack?
Yes.
Mr. Nergy?
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso?
Yep.
Mr. Sloan?
Yes.
Ms. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Disposal of audio recordings of closed session minutes. Board action is requested. I move the Board of Education destroy the audio recordings of closed session meetings from July 18th, 2018 through June 20th, 2019, as presented and discussed in closed session on April 22nd, 2021. The past 18 months of audio recordings of closed sessions will be retained starting July 19th, 2019 through June 2020 forward. I need a second.
Second.
I recommend you amend that to say April 29th, not April 22nd.
Sorry, where am I?
Yeah, it closed session on April 22nd, 2021.
April 22nd, 2021. Thank you so much. The past 18 months of audio recordings of closed meetings will be retained starting from July 19th, 2019 through June 2020 forward. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, C, recommendation to approve temporary technology summer employees. Amy.
Aaron.
Oh, no. It's going to be Amy right now. We're gonna finish up with Amy.
Okay.
Amy, thank you.
I move the Board of Education approve the recommendation for the request of the temporary technology summer employees as discussed and recommended by the PQ committee.
Thank you, Amy. I need a second.
Second.
Great. Is there any discussion?
How will this be communicated to the student body?
It's actually already been sent out to all of the different groups, freshmen through seniors at both North and Central as soon as we posted it as anticipated last week.
Aha, so I missed it. Thank you.
The timeline's on there too, and everything is already, it's up as anticipated in hopes that it would get passed today during the meeting. So thank you for that. And just as a heads up, everyone, we're super excited because so far we have 53 applicants.
Dang.
Wow.
Good.
That's great.
Anyone else? Okay, not hear anything. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Ms. Conlon-Wasik.
Yes, motion carries. Board policy review, first reading. No board action is requested. Amy, do you have an update for us or?
No, it's all in the packet.
Okay, great. So we'll move along. Are there any questions about that? Are we good? We're good? All righty. E, recommendation to award student transportation bid. Douglas.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I move the Board of Education to award the student transportation contract to Durham School Services as discussed and recommended by the FNF committee.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote. Please, Jenny.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Recommendation to approve lease for activity buses. Douglas.
I move the Board of Education to approve the lease for the activity buses with the Midwest Transit Equipment as discussed and recommended by the FNF committee.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? No? Okay. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Performance Services Phase 6 HVAC Improvement Project. Douglas.
I think you skipped G.
Did I skip G? Thank you so much. Recommendation to approve facility use agreements. Douglas.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen.
No.
I move the Board of Education to approve the facility use agreement between Grays Lake District 127 and the Grays Lake District 46 as discussed and recommended by the FNF committee.
Thank you so much. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasik,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Performance Services Phase 6 HVAC Improvement Project. Douglas.
Thank you, Kevin. I move the Board of Education to approve the Performance Service Phase 6 HVAC Improvement Project as discussed and recommended by the F&F Committee.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Thank you, everybody who participated in getting this. This is Phase 6 and much needed. So thank you, Abe, especially.
Yeah. Abe, how much is this? Are we almost done now? Or I wasn't at that last meeting. Are we getting there?
Yeah, this is definitely a large step in the process. We still have boilers that will have to be addressed at some point, but that would address the majority of the deferred HVAC projects. And just to provide some context, we had initially delayed it due to uncertainty as it relates to revenue, but now with all of these additional ESSER funds being released, upwards of, I believe it's $4.6 billion in ESSER funds just to state of Illinois school districts, we would see an inflationary bidding environment next summer. So the fact that this project was designed and spec'd and ready to be bid immediately, we were able to pivot very quickly thanks to the support of this board. I thank you for supporting this and to our contractor as well in procuring these bids in a very quick turnaround.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasek,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Grace Lake Central donation. Douglas.
Okay. Sorry.
No, we missed I.
No, Miss I.
Did I miss? My gosh, oh my gosh, yes. I am doing such a bad job tonight. Thank you. Recommendation to approve 2021-2022 IHSA membership. Thank you guys for keeping tabs of me tonight. I sure need it.
Thank you. I move the Board of Education to approve the renewal of the IHSA membership for the 2021-2021 school year as presented.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
I'm sorry. Getting late for me. Okay, any discussion? Okay, not hearing any. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasek,
Yes.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Jenny. Okay, Grace Lake Central donation. Douglas.
So I move, sorry, I lost my spot here.
Hey, it's okay. I've done it 3 times tonight.
I move the Board of Education to approve the donation from the Benevity Community Impact Fund, American Online Giving Foundation to the Grace Lake Central High School's Principal Assistant Fund as presented. I apologize for my mispronunciation.
That's fine. Thank you so much. A second. I need a second.
Second.
Great. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Knutson-Strack,
Yes.
Mr. Nergy,
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso,
Yes.
Mr. Sloan,
Yes.
Ms. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Thorson,
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon-Wasek.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. So glad that's done. Okay, we have 3 more items left. Legislative. Okay, so over the last year or so, we've had many discussions about the district's legislative priorities. Abe has given us some insights into some of the things that are going on in the world that will potentially impact us. And so the idea of setting up potentially a legislative committee within the school board will allow us to bring together the issues that are affecting our school district and agree to them as a board, and then meet with our state representatives to press our case with them, so that the items that are what impacts our school is being brought down to Springfield, and our legislators know that what we care about and what we need in order to take care of our kids. So basically, I know that some of you board members have gotten in touch with me about this, that you want to talk about a little bit. So I just want to give you a little bit of framing, but put it out there to see what you guys think about this idea.
It's very.
I think that it's, you know, I think it's long overdue.
Okay, all righty.
In my past history, I spent a lot of time talking to both our state our state senator and our state representative, just to go over the issues that would impact the elementary school that I was representing. So yeah, this needs to be done, and you need to have them understand the issues that are important to District 127, get it into their ear, because they can't do anything for us if they don't know what we need.
Thank you, Dean. Douglas, I know you had some concerns about this kind of thing, and I think it's important to bring it up so that we can flesh it all out.
No, I had some concerns that, you know, we fleshed out, you and me, on the phone. The way that we're going about this, I think, makes a lot of sense. Like I said, it is overdue. And speaking as one voice is very important. So I think I'm dead cool. Everything's been, I'm good. So
okay, fantastic. Jay, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I echo everyone's support. I think I agree that it's long overdue, and that I'm glad we're moving in this direction.
Okay, Erin?
No, I think it's a good idea. I think, what was it, in 2019, there was, what, 600 law changes that had to do with education. So I think it's worth our effort to kind of keep on top of that and make sure that our state representatives in Springfield know what what's the boots on the ground are seeing, as long as we're talking, as Douglas said, with one voice.
Absolutely. Amy, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree. I think one voice is critical. I think working as a board with one voice has always been a hallmark of what we aim to do. And I think we are also tired of hearing from legislators of what they think we need and what our parents beg us to go down and have conversations, and we should be doing that. We were just sworn in as we are the advocates of our district. And I think we need to be doing this more, and we need to be championing for our district in ways that, and not just take for granted what our representatives might be doing, because we just can't take that for granted.
Amy, did I miss anyone? Okay, so there seems to be a tremendous amount of support for this. I think the next step would maybe be to, Mikkel, you and I could sit down and have a conversation about maybe some of the functional aspects of what this would look like, potentially, and then maybe bring that back to the board for them to think about and give us additional insights, and then we'll move from there. We'll do next steps from there. Does that sound fair enough to everyone? Okay, all righty, good enough. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to move on. District goals.
Okay, so hope everybody's doing okay. It's getting late. We'll try to make this, try to keep this moving, but to refresh everyone, I think we all need another look at this. That is just a magical photo. Okay, moving on, maybe. There we go. Okay, so want to go over our goals. We are getting close to the end of the year, and just to review, and for our new board member, he might want to know what our district goals were. But this is our portrait of a graduate, which kind of guides everything that we do. It has our mission statement at the top, empowering all learners to launch their futures through relevant, engaging, authentic learning, and then the attributes we want to see from our students by the time they graduate. But our district goals, we wrote them last year, at the end of the semester, and that was, the pandemic was just starting to, we were just starting to realize, I think, the scope of what this was, and writing goals, not knowing what school was going to be. It's a little challenging, so our goals are pretty broad. First of all, the superintendent will ensure academic support for all students. The superintendent will support all students' social emotional needs with appropriate interventions and mental health assistance. And number 3, the superintendent will sustain multimodal research-based professional development to support the attainment of individual and organizational goals. So before we get into those, we'll kind of talk about where we're at and give you a summary of how we tried to approach those in the middle of a pandemic. And well, there are some unofficial district goals that we have had as we have moved through this. Those goals are to have school and keep people safe. That's it. That's what's really guided what we've been trying to do, and everything else has got to be built on that. But again, what does school mean and how do we do this? Those are unclear questions. What I'd like to do, though, is give the board just kind of a review of the timeline. And I'm going to use this incidence rate chart. You will, once it reveals itself, it'll be probably familiar to you. But just kind of go back and just mark some of the events and also mark the different instructional models that have been implemented in just over a year's time. So starting at March 13th, 2020, we paused all our in-person learning. We thought for 2 weeks, of course. We were wrong. First instructional model there was all remote, 8 periods, and we found very quickly that did not work at all. So we implemented a different block for remote, and again, this is all last semester, or last year, second semester. And then we moved into July, and on June 19th, I gave the board an update. We did not know what school was going to look like yet. We weren't sure if it was remote or hybrid. On July 30th, we announced remote only to start 2020-2021. And the school year started on August 19th. Again, not knowing what this curve was going to do. We actually didn't even know we didn't know incidence rate at that time. We didn't know about positivity rates. We didn't know anything. And then so our third instructional model is our remote block. So all remote, block schedule, pretty much what forms the basis of what we're doing now. But our instructional model number 4 was taking that, remote plus, starting to bring in a few students with IEPs, students who are struggling severely, bringing those in as safely as possible. Again, and the rules were still being developed as far as safety and protocols. So then we started to see a curve that looked like that. October 20th, we paused our in-person learning, which was supposed to start on November 19th. We paused all in-person learning to remote plus. Any of the students that were coming in for extra support, we paused that. October 29th, we postponed our hybrid plan for 11-19, not knowing what this curve was going to do. Of course, the curve did that. And that dot right there is November 19th, which was supposed to have been the start of our hybrid plan. I think we're justified in not having started it in November. The curve began to come down, and on January 19th, we started our 5th instructional model, our hybrid AB groups, 2 days a week, and Mondays full remote. And then thankfully the curve went down. It's bumped up a little bit, but we're hopefully going to be starting to come down again. On March 19th, we announced the 5-day-a-week hybrid model, and that is our final 6th instructional model that we've implemented in just over a year. So just want to give a little bit of context of kind of where we've come. And I'm sure it's not lost on any of you how much work in between any of those 2 dots, how much work there is to develop an instructional model and get it across to our teachers and make sure it was going to work, make sure they felt safe and supported. So tremendous amount of work there. I just wanted to kind of remind everybody where we've come. And I wanted to remind myself. So before we get to our goals, I do want to remind us of some foundational elements before we start talking about academics or social emotional learning or professional learning None of that happens without these items. Just to remind everyone, our health and safety operation, we're starting to get data over the year. Dan Gonzalez and his crew have taken care of over 2,500 work tickets, and that's everything from basic maintenance to providing these milk crates with the all the cleaning supplies and hand sanitizer, moving desks in and out and then back into rooms, all of that. And I'm just going to say their support is constant. It's immediate. They anticipate needs even before we think about it. They use our Airmark staff, our WFF staff, our Permar employees, in addition to our D127 staff to make this all work. In addition, they're procuring PPE, there's plexiglass everywhere, providing air purifiers, again, moving furniture back, forth, and back again, maximizing the outside airflow to provide as much outside air as we can, upping the MERV rating of our filters to make sure the filtration is as high as we can get. So again, none of this happens without our health and safety. Technology, absolutely foundational. You see there in the top right, the Crisis Go that Jess has found herself managing this year. Thank you so much, Jess. And that's our self-certification and our help desk tickets. Again, the total number of tickets, the total number of work hours that they are, work items that they have taken care of this year is 4,015. The average time to answer it is to get back that we have acknowledged it or that there is a ticket, 14 minutes. And the average time to resolve the ticket is under 4 hours. So highly service oriented for students, for parents, staff. Part of all of this, again, before we get to the goals, we have to make sure our students have equitable access to be able to have school so they can access their schooling. So to this end, we've also provided hotspots to families that don't have consistent, stable Wi-Fi access. And that's been a support job for Jess and her staff as well. The technology support has been provided all year to make sure that students' machines are working, supporting hotspots, supporting staff machines, things like that. And again, the Crisis Go management, which has changed often, definitely appreciate Jess and her staff supporting everybody in the district. Personnel, also foundational. You'll see Crisis Go there as well. And as you know, I know you know, lots of tricky situations, lots of navigating of individual situations, pre-existing medical issues with staff, medical issues in the home, childcare issues. As you can imagine, there are many permutations to life, to our staff, and making sure, again, they're here, they feel safe, they feel supported. I do want to also mention the Crisis Go. So that's our self-certification. If somebody's feeling ill and it's no or yes, I'm feeling sick, or I have a sore throat, or any of those numerous questions, and that little QR code turns red, they get a report and they start calling. 30 to 40 phone calls every morning starting at 4:30 a.m. calling everybody who came up red to make sure, hey, what's going on? And it's all individual working with staff, and questions like, okay, can you remote in? Can you come in physically? Do you need a sub? Do we need lesson plans? Can somebody get in the Zoom room? Who's got the technology? Just unbelievable number of permutations, as I say, on what they have to deal with and figure out quickly. Getting Zoom right. Who's going to access the Zoom room? Who has access to Zoom? As a teacher, again, teaching from home, do we need sub plans? And we were very nervous, quite frankly, coming into hybrid in January, that we were going to have enough sub coverage if people started to get quarantined or coming up positive or any number of reasons to be out. And Linda Feeney, Lacey Becker, Amy Doyle, Matt Esterl, and Danielle herself worked tirelessly to make sure. There was only one day, from my perspective, that I was very close to jumping in a math classroom, but they figured it out. We did not have to cancel school. We did not have to, shut down for remote because we didn't have subs. We were really worried about that. And as you heard, all but one staff are back. So pretty amazing. Again, none of this happens without this. So I want to thank everybody involved. Vaccinations, again, the pods at Round Lake and Stevenson ran through February through April. And, I think that's been the miracle that people have said that it is. Approximately 20,000 educators and school staff were eligible. I don't think they administered that many shots. We're waiting on the data, but I would guess probably around 15,000. But our job was to make sure that our staff knew how to register. That wasn't exactly the cleanest process. You know, it's kind of, they were building the plane as it was in flight. But, you know, we had to make sure our staff knew how to register, what buttons, what pull downs to select, what happens if there were problems, and working with the health department to make sure everybody got taken care of. And we believe, I think over 95% of our staff is fully vaccinated, which is great. And again, that allows us to have school and be with kids and do all the things that we think are important. This is just in-person learning versus remote as of 4/26. So our 5-day in-person learning model. Right now, it's about roughly at each campus is about 2/3 of our families said they would be interested in hybrid. 1/3 remote only for the rest of the year. Now that does not mean that we have, on any given day, we have 2/3 of our students in the building. On any given day, we may have 2/3 of that 2/3 or a half of those 2/3 because parents have the option. You don't have to bring your student in 5 days a week. If you're not comfortable with that, you can send your student 3 days a week or 2 days a week until you feel comfortable sending your student 5 days. But so as I think I had mentioned earlier, just to see students or to hear students in the classroom as I'm walking up and down the halls and I hear students talking and safely masked up and at a safe distance apart, turning towards each other and sharing their work. And as I look in a classroom, I can't see the teacher because she's in the back of the room working with a kid. It's great. I can't tell you just the energy. That's the word I just kept hearing. There's so much more energy, and I think it just kind of recharged everybody to get going. Still, again, working with our remote-only kids and making sure they're taken care of, but it's fun to have people back in the building for sure. Okay, so let's go through goal 1 with all of that said. Our support for struggling learners. As I said, our Remote Plus was our first attempt to bring students back into our buildings in October-ish, September, October. That included students with special needs, with IEPs, and those who clearly were struggling mightily. We tried to bring that kind of very, very needy group back in first. You've heard quite a bit about AIM, and I'm going to talk a little about AIM and some AIM numbers. But again, that has been just a fantastic program, both buildings. So we expanded AIM to not just support numeracy and literacy, but to expand to support executive functioning. And again, that's functioning for students, organization, time management, those types of things like foundational skills. How do we navigate school, and how are we going to be successful? So those supports were added to the AIM plate, I guess. Appointments with students in person, even while we were remote. Again, trying everything we could do to get students in safely, the students that really needed it. Again, expanded the AIM program to students with IEPs. Didn't start out that way to support students with IEPs, but those students, their case managers, strategic study classes are additional supports for some of those students with IEPs. We increased EL support, and again, EL standing for English learners, students for whom English is not their first language. We revamped the EL curriculum, and this is the first year for us having an EL chair to really help guide that curriculum and help those students and give the students the support they need and deserve. In our models, we kept the afternoons available for reteaching, helping struggling learners, meeting with remote-only students, to kind of keep that flexible just in case anybody needed additional help or more personalized help. Sure. Before I do this, I'm going to show you the AIM numbers for this year. And I hope there are 2 numbers at least that should jump out at you, I hope. So here you'll see Grays Lake Central, Grays Lake North, row 1, row 2, and the numbers of students who are getting support in literacy, mathematics, executive functioning. I hope you notice the numbers all the way to the left. And that's the high concentration of freshmen that are being assisted. We were very worried, as I'm sure you all were too, coming into this year about our freshmen. Students who've never seen the building, who've never made connections with our adults, Again, much work has been done to do that even when remote, but the AIM program to support those struggling freshmen, make sure they're getting off to whatever needs they have are being fulfilled, that really gratifies me, and I'm very appreciative of that program. That's kind of where it went, with our freshmen really giving them lots of support. Dean, yes.
Just what percentage of the freshman class is that for North and Central?
Do some quick calculations. What do we think? Would our freshman class, you guys, is that 400-ish, 350, 400?
350-ish, right, for each class?
Yeah.
So it's a little more than a third.
Okay.
So definitely needed. Great question. Thank you. So again, we can break down the numbers, how many are getting literacy or mathematics or executive functioning. But again, it's just, this is outside the school. This is outside the students' classes. We're not pulling them out of a class, so they're missing instruction in any way. This is on top of. So again, it's not just the content support. It is the relationship that we think is really important as well. Some additional academic supports. We did eliminate final exams last year. Frankly, that was something we were hoping to do anyway. So it gave us a good opportunity to do that. We don't think it's the best use of time. We don't think it's the best assessment. So we are going to be eliminating final exams. We did reduce grad requirements. Thank you to the board for reducing the grad requirements to the state minimum. So, you know, we feel confident that our students will graduate and definitely be functional and, you know, thrive in whatever they decide to do. But just acknowledging that this is tough. This is tough, and we want to make sure that, you know, our students are focusing on what they need to focus on grad requirements. And so pick up and drop off of materials for courses like art classes or hands-on materials, evening homework support. So students are able to make appointments and actually get homework support during the evening. And we're also right now exploring continued remote options. We're not sure what next year is going to look like. We're not sure how many students are going to need for remote or what the rules are around that or how that's going to work. But so we're planning now. We know we may need some remote options for students. So we're planning that now. Tracy has spent a lot of time working on that and getting some information from parents. And we're still compiling that information. And also, we've made use of incompletes and audit grade indicators in place of failing grades. So for example, last year, let's say a student is failing sophomore English. Okay, rather than that F, that student could get an I, an incomplete, gives a little bit more time to make up that work, to do whatever he or she needs to do, and ultimately turn that into a passing grade. Just a little bit more time is a pretty reasonable accommodation, I think. So a number of things, a number of supports academically. The Democracy School, both Grays Lake North and Grays Lake Central are democracy schools, right? They work with the McCormick Foundation. It's, you know, civics education and really driving our curriculum, our social studies curriculum to be civic oriented. Grays Lake Central, this is just an example of a grant opportunity that they got through McCormick Foundation. Grays Lake Central is working with Loyola University. They've got a cohort of educators, of social studies teachers, actually social workers, and things like that to really dig into this work. And this is, you know, culturally responsive teachings. Retta Hammond is the person. This is where you want to go to if you want to learn this. So they've really been digging into that and looking at how that may impact the curriculum. I think it's going to impact it pretty significantly. Grays Lake North is still doing this work. They're just not involved in this program. But this is just an example of, although I've said, you know, this is really hard and we have all these instructional models, our teachers are still moving forward. They're still learning. They're still trying to grow. They're still trying to improve the curriculum. So that work never stops. Okay, SAT results. I do not expect you to squint at this. This is just the results. Last year, our juniors last year that would have taken the SAT, obviously that plan was blown apart. Seniors had the opportunity to take the SAT, juniors last year, seniors this year, to take the SAT. This year's seniors that did take the SAT in the fall, even though the pandemic was still going, we outperformed state, national, international averages. Beat the state by 34 points and the national international average by 6. So again, we continue to outperform expected SAT outcomes in math, reading, composite scores. That being said, this is a data point. It's an important data point. It's not the data point. It's just one of many, but it's just an indicator that, again, learning is still happening, right? And this is another data point. There are different views on the U.S. News World Report rankings. Again, it's a data point. It's ranked on state tests, graduation requirements, you know, some AP tests, things like that. Again, it's one indicator. But, you know, when we see the national ranking of Grades Lake North is 1,874 out of 17,000 schools, which puts them at, by these measures, at the 90th percentile nationally, and Grades Lake Central, the 92nd percentile nationally. I think it's worth calling out and saying, again, it is an indicator of academic performance. There's more, of course, but proud to see that these numbers are where they are. So great job, Dan, Jim, and your staffs. About ready to move on to goal 2. If you want me to stop me anytime. Okay, goal number 2. Superintendent will support all students' social and emotional needs with appropriate interventions and mental health assistance. This one's kind of hard to wrap your arms around, right? There are a lot of things that are going on, a lot of different players. You've got your counselors, our student support teams, counselors, social workers, deans, student support, Jenny Anderson, and help me out with the title, folks. I'm blanking. It's late.
Prevention and Wellness Coordinators.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The prevention and wellness coordinators are part of that team as well. So I'm going to give you another number here, 33,586. Any guesses? Going once, going twice. Those are the number of student contacts made by District 127 student support teams since August. Students, parents, primarily students. So obviously in a pandemic, in a remote learning environment, it's harder to make those face-to-face connections. But our SST teams did an amazing job of trying to maintain those connections and make sure that they were working with students. We have a number of supports for students, not the least of which are many dogs, many dogs, which are extraordinarily helpful to students and to staff and superintendents. It's fine. But again, ongoing remote support, the hiring of additional school psychologists. We want to thank the board for supporting that. That'll come into play next year. But again, it just shows the support for this kind of work. Robust online supports for students. I'm going to attempt not to make this a big laundry list and a big bullet point list, but just a few of the things that our school counselors do, school social workers do, hosting senior college planning night, FAFSA completion nights, Spanish FAFSA completion nights, junior college parent night, transfer student parent night. Counselors, again, have reached, in many cases, 100% of their students through multiple methods, whether it's phone or text or face-to-face conversations, of course. Weekly information on careers, daily student-parent communication, problem-solving meetings. Our social workers are providing individual and group counseling for students, Zoom and in person. They carry caseloads across the educational spectrum, crisis intervention. They work with the special ed teams and IEP teams, also other departments to help brainstorm and collaborate in solutions for students. Again, these teams guide families toward mental health resources in the community as needed and as requested. They're communicating with hospitals and residential facilities for hospitalized students. They advocate for mental and educational needs, plan for students to come back to school. Deans, they reach out to students as well. They reach out to families struggling with attendance and grades and like really try to help problem solve students who are struggling. That's the name of the game for these folks. They propose solutions to schedules. If a schedule shift can help, they'll do that. Again, reintegrating students to the building, intervention plans. Again, I'm trying not to make it a laundry list, but there is more than, they've forgotten more than I know about what they do. It's amazing, it really is. So we definitely thank them for their efforts. This is just a couple of examples. They have robust online resources as well. videos. That's the Welcome New Nights, welcoming our freshmen into the Gray's Lake North building in parades. Along the right, there's some Gray's Lake Central materials, developing relationships during remote learning as a resource, virtual calming rooms, mindfulness and meditation. So again, there's so many things that they are doing to try to connect with kids in any way they can. It's pretty inspiring. Here's just some of the online resources for Gray's Lake North and Gray's Lake Central. And those resources are available to everybody, including our adults. And I want to mention, before I mention Gray's Lake Central is participating in that study, the Loyola study. Gray's Lake North, their counseling program was recognized as, has achieved the distinction of being a recognized ASCA model program, RAMP, at Gray's Lake North. Gray's Lake Central is on the path. It's a long process. It's a very arduous process. It's a good process, but it's heavy data analysis, heavy program evaluation. I mean, they really dig into it. They have to submit all of their information, and it is very, very significant. So to get this distinction is a big deal. It is a real big deal that says our program here at Gray's Lake North and Gray's Lake Central as well, but our programs are data driven. They're using the best research. They're doing what's best for kids. It's going beyond what my counselor, I talked to my counselor twice. Take the ACT? Yep. Great. See you next year. Hey, what college you going to? I'm not. I'm joining the Army. Great. Okay, good luck. That was my experience, right? What these people do is far, far beyond that. So we're very, very pleased to have them and have them recognized in this way, and Central is not far behind. I will close this section too with this number, 25,231. Any guesses? That is the meals provided to families since April 2020 from Gray's Lake North. We have been providing meals, and Dan Gonzalez and Aramark, they have just been phenomenal with this. And just every day providing meals to families. And Dean, just so you know, there's no cost, there's no questions asked. Anybody from the community can drive up, get a meal. We've made arrangements with families that maybe they can't make it every day. So maybe we put a few meals together for them. So this has been something that I think we clearly saw a need for. There clearly was a need. I think this program is starting to dwindle, and I think that's a good thing. I hope that's a good thing. I hope people are finding resources or starting to get back to work, or not needing our resources as much. We're perfectly happy to continue doing it forever, but I have a feeling it is starting to dwindle to a point where I think we can sunset this program. However, some pretty amazing community work there. Goal 3. Okay. So we will sustain multimodal research-based professional development to support the attainment of individual and organizational goals. This is more than just professional support. This is support of our teachers as people. And we knew very quickly that was going to be, we had to support our staff as much as we're supporting our students. And well, here's a quote from an article I was just reading. No one will be returning to work as the same person they were before the pandemic. We knew we have to support our staff just as much as we support our students. All of us have been through trauma this last year, right? I think all of us are going to suffer from some form of post-traumatic stress. I really do. So the question is, how do we keep things normal for kids and families when none of us are feeling normal? Right? We've had staff who have experienced deaths in the family from COVID and just tragedy overall. So we have to be very mindful of working with our staff and making sure they're supported. One big part of it, and I'll talk about that in the next slide, is really we have to communicate. That is absolutely the name of the game. We have to be just fabulous communicators to our staff, because if we're not going to be a reliable source of information, they're going to find a better source of information. In the absence of information, people are going to make up their own. So that was a priority for us pretty much from minute one, that we wanted to be honest, we wanted to be transparent about this situation, what we know and what we don't know, about the implications, timeline for decisions. Again, we'll give you the timeline as much as we can, but if we don't know, we'll tell you that, and we'll tell you why. We're hoping that our employees understood that events are continually unfolding and we've got to be flexible. We hope they accept changes, again, if the evidence and reasoning are clear. Our intention was to be, or our philosophy, I suppose, was to be as authentic as we can, be intentional about our communication, to be inclusive, to make sure everybody had an opportunity to be included, and to be interactive as possible. It's not just a top-down thing. We don't have all the answers, and we were pretty clear about that. But anywhere a good idea is coming from, we'll listen to it. So that being said, communication. We had over 21 district listening sessions, and so that would be a Zoom room. We just, everybody in the pool, come in and listen. We'll give you information if we have any. Otherwise, we will just listen to your questions, because if you've got the question, somebody else probably does too. So 21 district listening sessions, that was throughout the summer, all school year, and our buildings also had their own individual drop-ins with staff as well, with the same goals. As I say, we made communication a key priority. There are so many rumors to get started, and again, people will make up information in the absence of it. So, anecdotally, strictly anecdotally, we've been told that our communication was effective. And again, not knowing exactly what other districts do, but folks would compare us to other districts and saying there are folks in other districts that don't know what's going on. And things just, they feel like things are happening to them as opposed to being part of that conversation. And I'm just gratified that at least a couple of people said that that's not what they felt with us. So I am happy about that. You see, it can't really see there, but part of our communication strategy was the data. So our data hub, that's what you see on the right there. Just trying to keep, when we're looking at incidence rates and positivity rates, literally on a daily basis, just to see where the numbers were going, or trying to make sense of what Lake County Health was saying was, hey, this is high community transmission, this is moderate, this is low. We recommend remote learning, we recommend hybrid learning, we recommend full in-person learning. So keeping track of all that. Also kind of in the middle there, can't really see very well, is our data tracker for our students and our staff. How many students are quarantined, how many staff are quarantined, how many are positive. And that's a huge undertaking from Danielle, from Amy, from Nat in the HR department, Linda Feeney, and Tracy Becker. So just keeping that updated, just to let people know kind of where are we at in terms of transmission, what's going on in the school. All right, professional support. So getting into the professional learning piece of it, again, you've heard me say, sing the praises of our instructional coaches. I love the instructional coaching program, and they provide just-in-time professional learning. And what I mean by that is if you're a teacher in the classroom and you need something right now, they can be in there. They have flexibility to be in there. They teach part of the day, but the other part of the day, they are flexible to move around and work with teachers. So that's Nathania, Tom, Vic, and Shayna just do amazing work. They're putting out, again, they can work with teachers face-to-face in the classroom, but they're putting out resources constantly. So I'll just click on the Real Hub hybrid supports, not that we're going to go through it, but just to give you a sense of what's out there. We're talking about hybrid instructional models, bell schedules, instructional considerations, best practices, questions that should drive hybrid instruction and presumably answers, learning cycles suited for hybrid instruction, asynchronous tools, and on and on and on. And as soon as they learn something new, they will put it out like, hey, we got this great new thing, check it out. And they'll put out a newsletter or an email or something like that. So again, they are the not so secret weapons. And that's in addition to the professional learning support that Tracy gives, that principals give, that Barb and Jeff give, that all of us do. But so again, it's definitely a team effort. Like North has a number of resources as well. They work as a team for sure. We brought in Caitlin Tucker, who's an amazing educator. So she had an online course about hybrid learning and online courses. Any teacher could access that, and that's the support that we provided for teachers since last year. What we're looking forward to now is block schedule, in-person block schedule starting next year. So we have some teams that are already working with schools that have been in blocks. So for example, our special education department had a conference with, I believe it was Glenbard North, who was a block school, and it has been for a number of years. And just talking about like, how does the pacing work? What are some stumbling blocks? What should we avoid? What should we do? How does this work with students with IEPs? How does this work in the special ed world? So I think they had a really good conversation. Our May 17th Institute this year is focused all on block, getting ready for next year. So that's kind of where we're moving now. So next year, where are we headed? Again, we hope full in-person learning. I'm sure COVID is going to throw us more curveballs. I'm guessing masks are still going to be in our future for a while. But block scheduling, I think, and everything we've learned this year as well, all the tools, the new tools in our teacher's toolbox is going to serve us well. So that's going to give us the opportunity and the time to really get at that relevant, engaging, authentic learning, right? In a more calm atmosphere as well. It really lowers the sort of, I guess, feel of rat race, in that 8-period day. So we're hoping to see that kind of give our students an opportunity to think and reflect and dig deeply into content. Just to close, I'll tell you a story that since last summer, kind of my philosophy about this, about just COVID and being responsible for an organization, a school system. There's a news program that I watch that every day the host does, these video montages, these video tributes to folks who have passed away from COVID. And one day last summer, there was one of those, and it was a teenage girl. And it could have been one of our kids. And I think I was alone in the room, but I said out loud, I'll be darned if they're going to make one of those for one of our kids or our staff. And I think we made it. All the decisions that we made are for safety first, and learning. And our staff has just done an amazing job. There's nothing more I can say. These people are amazing. And I can't wait until some of these, these constraints that we're working under are gone, and we can really unleash their talent and their creativity, their professionalism. It's going to be amazing. So again, our goals were to have school and keep people safe. I think we're going to do that. In addition, I think students learned, and I hope they felt like in some way they're connected to their school, and they always will be. That's all I have. Is there anything else anything I can clarify, or any questions or anything like that?
No, you guys went above and beyond everything that we asked you to do. Above and beyond everything that we could have ever asked you to do. Your professionalism, the board was very focused. We drove you guys very hard, and you kept responding. You never stopped, and I know it's because you love kids and you love families. You guys did everything you could. Our principals, I know the administrator. I don't know what Dan and Jim. I wish I was there to just. I hold you in highest esteem. I cannot imagine what your year is like. I cannot imagine what it's like to wake up in the morning and know what you have to face and walk into, and parents who are struggling and wanting all the things we want for our kids. and you were the person they looked to before anyone else. I mean, it's a lot of this that the administration has been doing everything it can to lighten the load, but it's been on your shoulders. And there isn't thanks enough.
Yeah. Thank
You
you for saying that. Those
very
guys
admirable.
they do not get enough credit. Our principals. So thank you guys. You really do.
No, so I wanted to say that you've borne a lot. Your shoulders are wide. And also, Mikkel, the leadership that you have given this year, you know, still new into your superintendency, relatively new into your superintendency. You got hit with this. Oh, my Lord. There isn't thanks enough. Board members?
I just wanted to quickly add to Kathleen's point, to Mikkel, to Dan, to Jim, to Tracy, to everyone part of the admin. You know, as educators, we always give 110% of ourselves to those around us, to those that we serve. But please, if anything, you know, because of this pandemic, please remember to take care of yourselves, because you cannot fill other people's buckets if your bucket is empty. So please, whether it's people on the Zoom call or your family or your friends, vent to people, cry to people, let it all out. But please make sure that you are also taking care of yourselves, because you take such exceptional care of those on this Zoom call, of our students, of the staff. So just I wanted to say that so that, you know, y'all are reminded we care about you all as well, and we want all of you to be at 110% as well.
Thank you, Jay.
Just a quick statement, but it all comes back to my daughter coming back from Central with a smile on her face. I appreciate that, honestly.
In looking at the timeline, again, you know, I go back to it a lot, and I remember very vividly last summer, we were all ready to hit that dial to go to hybrid when we realized we didn't have enough PPE to cover everyone. And we were in such a bind. And then when we can go back on data and go, well, that would have been okay maybe, but we didn't have all the pieces in place. So then we wait, and then, I mean, there were so many decisions at different time points, right? So anyway, you know, I'm very proud of a lot of things that we've had to, I mean, proud isn't the right word, but we've had different decisions at different time points. They haven't been easy, but safety has been at the forefront, education's been at the forefront, and trying to keep everybody moving forward. We've pushed to get students in classrooms. We've pushed to get one-on-ones. We've pushed in different ways, and I'm so thankful for people being willing to try. So I thank you for all of that. I'm just thankful. So this will pass, and you're right. We're not going to be the same, but there'll be new challenges ahead. So anyway, it's quite a presentation.
Yes, it was. Mikkel, it was an achievement. It was an achievement from where we were last year, saying we're going to open a door, to where, because I remember you said that, Kathleen, we're going to open a door. I'm like, well, okay. And look what you did. Look at what you guys accomplished. My God, it's incredible. It's an incredible human will and your knowledge and your education and your discipline all came together. It's just, it was an incredible accomplishment. I'm talking too much. Douglas, other board members.
All I have to say is that, I mean, it's kind of echoing some of the stuff. It's been a tough journey, and you guys have done a fabulous job, everybody on this call and the people behind the scenes. It hasn't been popular with some folks, but everybody's done their best for the safety of the kids and to keep everybody safe. So hats off to everybody. It's not easy being in these positions. Nobody in this room or on this call, but you guys should all be proud of yourselves.
Yeah, I just want to say that I have kind of this unique perspective of being a tutor, of seeing the boots on the ground in other schools and other districts. And every week that would go by, and it was just a lot of little things, and obviously I don't want to get into the details, but the end sum was I just kept appreciating what all of you have done this year. You really don't, I know you meet with the other superintendents and the other CSBOs and all of that, but when you're working one-on-one with kids with other schools and it's a simple, well, don't you have homework help? And they look at me like I'm from Mars, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't have evening homework help or afternoon remotes or this, that, the other thing? And it's just me being kind of stupid thinking, oh, well, Michael's talking to other superintendents, and it's not happening in other districts. We are doing things that other districts are not even considering. And I don't think you guys know that. I don't think you guys see that. And, you know, I think I came on this board because this is the kids are so special, and I know that this is, you say that we're going to come out of this pandemic changed, but don't think that it's all bad. I think a lot of good things have come out of this pandemic with this school district and these kids. I think Dr. Roscoe at graduation said, it was Dr. Roscoe or Miss Jeff Chagrin who said these kids are going to change the world. That's what he said at class of 2020, I'm sorry. And I think it's spot on. We're going to hear about these kids. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I do say that if things don't change, if some things don't change and if some things don't shift, and there have been some shifts that have been applied, then shame on us, right? There's some things that can change and shift from this. So I agree with you, Aaron.
Yep.
There's changes in education that can happen that have been happening because of this. That is a silver lining.
Are we ready to move on? You ready? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So committee of the whole discussion. This has come up a few times, basically because of the way our Zoom room committee meetings have been working. And we just want to flesh out, do we want to change things? Do we want to strengthen what we have? And we just wanted to think about it a little bit before we move into the new year and the new board year. And Jay, I think you had a few thoughts.
I do. But would it be, just given the time, would it be appropriate to possibly move this to next month?
Absolutely. I'm wondering, do I need a motion to move this to next month, or can I just move it to next month? Let's see if we, you know what?
You can table it. You can table it, and then we can.
Okay.
It would go under continuing business for next month.
Okay, I'll table it, and we'll go under continuing business for next month. We haven't done that before, but thank you, Jay. We're all tired.
No, thank you.
No, it's wonderful. We'll do that. It's not a big deal. Okay, on to item 22, topics for future committee and board meetings. Any thoughts? Okay, we do have lots of things coming up, so okay. and we do not have a need to go into closed session. We are out of things to talk about, so I need a motion to adjourn the Board of Education meeting on April 29th, 2021. I need a second.
Second. Two of them already. Second.
Okay, discussion, no discussion. Roll call vote, please.
I'll call it really fast. Mr. Nergy.
Yes.
Mr. Reynoso. Mr. Sloan.
Yes.
Ms. Westfall.
Yes.
Mr. Thorson.
Yes.
Mrs. Colin Wasik.
Yes.
Mrs. Knudsen-Strack.
Yes. Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Motion carries.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all for an interesting first meeting. I appreciate
It's
it.
not always this long, Dean.
Welcome, Dean.
Not quite this long.
Welcome.
Started off with a bang.
200 pages of paper dropped off by Jenny. Thanks.
Never again, Dean. Never again. It's all computer.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
everyone.
Thanks.